You're watching Inside Yellowstone.
Historically, Yellowstone National Park has always been more of a summer destination than a winter one, but there are all kinds of winter opportunities to be had by the adventurous traveler. The park's interior officially opens in mid-December and remains open until mid-March.
The only roads that are open to automobile traffic during this time are between the Mammoth Hot Springs area and the northeast gate of the park. A 22-mile stretch of US 191 along the west side of the park is also open during winter. These plowed roads offer access to some of the most beautiful scenery in the country, but the conditions require drivers to maintain a safe speed while staying alert for wildlife. Away from the plowed roads, visitors must rely on over-snow means of transportation. The hotel at Mammoth, as well as the Old Faithful Snow Lodge, offer rooms for rent and a wide range of activities. Both of these hotels have a variety of snow coach adventures and guided snowmobile trips. Many companies outside Yellowstone also provide accommodations, transportation services, and other winter adventures. These adventures include, but are not limited to, snowshoeing and cross-country skiing. Both hotels within the park staff ski shops with knowledgeable personnel. Ski drops can be reserved along with your room. Ski trail maps are available at many park locations. The National Park Service staffs visitor centers at Mammoth, Old Faithful, and the West Contact Station near the West Gate. Yellowstone Rangers present interpretive programs at various times during the week. Rangers also staff warming huts at several places in the park. You can often catch interpretive rangers presenting impromptu talks at many of the park's attractions.
Check our official website on the latest news in visiting Yellowstone in winter. There you can also find a list of companies that operate within the park. If you do venture into this winter wonderland, know your family's limitations. A winter trip to Yellowstone is a trip you won't soon forget.
You're watching Inside Yellowstone.
Standing here at the Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone is always an impressive thing, but standing here in the winter is something to behold. This is not only one of the remote spots in the lower 48, it is one of the most beautiful.
The artist that shaped this American treasure continues to work on this unique place today. The 671-mile Yellowstone River, which flows through the canyon, is the longest undammed river in the United States. Upstream from the canyon, the Yellowstone seems quiet and peaceful. The deep color of the water is in direct contrast to the white pillows of snow along the riverbank. The peacefulness ends at the 109-foot upper falls. But it is below the 308-foot lower falls that the Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone is most spectacular. In winter, when somewhere around 5,000 gallons of water a second is dropping over the falls, an ice and snow mound builds up from the canyon floor. The contrast between the white snow and the colorful canyon walls makes the journey here worth the planning. The colors are a sign of this area's volcanic past. The yellows, pinks, and reds are caused by iron oxidation. It's rust. The rock in this area continues to be altered by thermal activity. When you get here, stay alert, keep a safe distance from the edge, and use the rails when they are available. The trails will be icy. The skiing in the canyon area is excellent. A variety of machine and skier-groomed trails were designed to help you explore the area. Check on current conditions at the Canyon Village Warming Hut and always ski within your abilities.
To plan your next winter trip to Yellowstone's Grand Canyon, check out the Plan Your Visit page on our website. An adventure into this winter wonderland awaits you and your family. This is a place you won't forget.
You're watching Inside Yellowstone.
The Old Faithful Snow Lodge is more than just another lodge in another national park. It is the base of a temporary community that forms every winter. Since 1972, employees have shoveled the doorways and welcomed visitors to this winter wonderland.
Getting to Snow Lodge is a big part of the fun. In winter, cars and trucks are replaced by a variety of oversnow machines. A 30 to 50 mile frozen adventure is part of the experience. You can start planning the perfect trip for your family by visiting our website. The Old Faithful Snow Lodge is the newest lodge in Yellowstone. This warm and inviting timber frame opened in 1999. It replaced a modest structure that had been designed as a camper services building in the 1950s. One thing that didn't change is how happy people seem to be here. Guests have several options on how to spend their time. You can snuggle up with a good book around a fireplace or catch a shuttle to ski some of the best trails in the country. But you must visit the rangers at the Old Faithful Visitor Center and explore the Upper Geyser Basin. This resource is why we are here. Nearly 1/4 of the world's geysers are within skiing distance of the Snow Lodge. Ask the rangers if they have any geyser predictions or advice on visiting under the current conditions. Always use caution in the park's thermal areas. The contrast between the snow and the hot water is beautiful, but the mixture can be dangerous. While the Old Faithful Snow Lodge is open in the summer, the winter season lasts from mid-December to mid-March. The lodge also operates some cabins a short distance away. You can find out more by visiting Xanterra Parks and Resorts at www.travelyellowstone.com.
Any visit to Yellowstone in winter is special. If you get to see Old Faithful Geyser erupt in winter, you won't forget the experience. If you find yourself snowed in 30 miles from the nearest car at a place where most employees ski to work, you're at the Snow Lodge.
You're watching Inside Yellowstone.
In winter, Yellowstone Lake seems as far from civilization as any place I can imagine. Cody, Wyoming is 80 miles east, Jackson, Wyoming is 97 miles south, and every place else is just a long way away. Visiting this frozen landscape is still worth the planning and effort it takes to get here. For you to visit, you will need to arrange a trip with one of the many concessions companies that operate during the winter. Check the Plan Your Visit page on our website for a list of those companies. Winter visitation is limited, so make your reservations early. With a surface area of 131.7 square miles, Yellowstone Lake is considered the largest alpine lake in North America. Most years, it freezes over by mid-December and remains frozen until late May or early June. The ice can be from a few inches to nearly 3 feet thick, with several feet of snow covering the ice. Even though you will be with a guide, come prepared. Extra clothes, food, and any supplies you need for survival should be a part of your planning. Here in the lake area, this small warming hut and a few pit-style restrooms are the only escapes from the elements. The popular Lake Yellowstone Hotel is boarded up and frozen in the snow. A few winter keepers and maintenance workers are working here to maintain the buildings, and a limited number of both interpretive and protective rangers also spend the winter here. While the snow-covered landscape gives the impression that everything here is frozen, nature often reminds us that is not true. Just a few weeks ago, between December 26, 2008 and January 1, 2009, nearly 500 earthquakes occurred along the floor of Yellowstone Lake. The largest was a magnitude 3.9. This earthquake swarm started just southeast of Stevenson Island and migrated north toward Fishing Bridge. Much of Yellowstone Lake sits inside the Yellowstone caldera. This disturbance was near the eastern edge of the caldera floor.
Earthquakes are not rare in the park. We average nearly 2,000 a year. I was woken up by magnitude 3.5 here at Yellowstone Lake back in 1992. Yellowstone is a land of mystery and adventure, especially in winter.
You're watching Inside Yellowstone.
Today, Yellowstone National Park is as famous for its wildlife as it is for its spectacular geology. In winter, there are plenty of opportunities to see a wide range of animals. You just need to look in the right places. For birders, there are 42 species that live in the park year-round and at least 7 species that migrate to the region in winter. For many birds, open water is needed to survive. Thermal runoff from the geyser basins help keep many stretches of water ice-free. These open stretches of water attract waterfowl, like trumpeter swans, that are migrating south from their nesting grounds in Canada and Alaska. There are more swans here in winter than in summer. Bald eagles, many of which spend the summer on lakes, can also be found near the open water of rivers. Away from the rivers, the best birding is at the lower elevations found in the northern sections of the park. In areas like Lamar Valley, ravens, magpies, eagles, and other scavengers can be seen on winter kill and predator-killed carcasses. For much of the winter, Lamar Valley is the best place to see many species of wildlife. Yellowstone's wolf population is more concentrated in the park's northern range. Lamar just may be the best place on earth to watch wolves in a natural setting. If that is something that interests you, get out at sunrise or sunset. Wolves are more active then. Watch for groups of people with spotting scopes. There is quite a contingency of wolf watchers. Find them, and more than likely you will find wolves. Wolves are more abundant in the north because of the high density of large mammals. Elk, deer, bison, pronghorn, and coyotes can be found in the open meadows. Away from Lamar Valley, the Madison and the Firehole River basins are the best wildlife habitats in winter. If you're a wildlife lover, a trip to Yellowstone in winter can surely meet your expectations. Always keep a safe distance from wild animals, dress warm, get out early, and have the trip of a lifetime.
You're watching Inside Yellowstone.
Some of my greatest memories of Yellowstone are of the winter days I spent watching birds along the Madison and Firehole rivers. The abundance of thermal features located near these pristine watersheds heats the water enough to keep much of it ice-free. Visitors traveling to and from the west entrance are rewarded with some of the most beautiful scenery in the country. Trumpeter swans, which are difficult to find in summer, seem abundant. The white adults that often mate for life winter here with their gray cygnets, the juveniles. Numerous swans feed along these rivers before migrating out of the park in spring. In winter, the common goldeneye outnumbers the Barrow's goldeneye, but both can be found here. Both species have brilliant eyes. The easiest way to distinguish between the two is to look at the spot near the base of the male's bill. Common goldeneyes have a round spot, while the Barrow's is crescent-shaped. When you're along the faster-moving sections of river, keep an eye out for American dippers. These small songbirds can be seen dipping and diving into the open water. Above the rivers, you can see bald eagles perched in trees. Bald eagles dive for fish and prey on waterfowl. In winter, I find it easier to watch for dark patches high in the trees. The dark seems to stick out more against the snowy landscape. Yellowstone's forest offers some great birding as well. Recently burnt sections are a good place to watch for hairy woodpeckers. They quickly move through the trees in search of insects that have burrowed under tree bark. Ravens can be seen near many of the park's roads and parking lots, begging or searching for a free meal. Never leave food or backpacks unattended. These smart critters have learned to search for human food. Overall, researchers believe nearly 50 different species of birds can be found in Yellowstone during winter. Please, while feeding birds at home may be normal, it is unacceptable in the park. All wildlife species are protected here. Dress warmly, bring your binoculars, and I hope to see you on your next Yellowstone adventure.
You're watching Inside Yellowstone.
Yellowstone is a land of extremes, from boiling water at the surface to one of the coldest climates in the country. Climate helps determine all we see across this high mountain landscape. Every winter in the park, the thermometers drop well below 0 degrees Fahrenheit for extended periods. On one such cold spell in 1933, the temperature at Riverside Station near the park's west gate dropped to -66 degrees Fahrenheit. While that's a Yellowstone record, it is not a national record. The record for the contiguous United States occurred on January 20th, 1954. On that day at Rogers Pass, Montana, the temperature dropped to -70 degrees Fahrenheit. Even short periods at those low temperatures can have an effect on native species. For instance, the pine bark beetle and the spruce budworm can both kill a forest. but extreme cold spells can keep these insects in check. Cold spells also help determine where we find species like fish. During longer periods of cold, ice can begin to form on river and stream beds. Called anchor ice for the way it attaches itself to rocks near the bottom, it is one of the first steps toward a completely frozen riverbed, which eliminates fish. Other habitats are a direct result of Yellowstone's winter. When the park gets covered by a deep blanket of snow, some rodents and insects use the area between the ground and the snow as a place to survive the winter. If the snow is deep enough, the temperature at ground level is at or near 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Yellowstone's cold climate helps to keep the wilderness pristine. Cold air is heavier than warmer air and creates an area of high pressure. Winds flow from high pressure to low pressure. This means most local winds are flowing off of the Yellowstone Plateau, which helps to keep airborne pollutants like fertilizers out of the park.
You're watching Inside Yellowstone.
Looking across a snow-covered landscape can be both pleasing and overwhelming. Your perspective may depend on whether you're about to go skiing or shovel out a buried car, but there's no denying that individual snowflakes are as beautiful as they are complex.
Most often, when we talk about snowflakes, we really mean snow crystals, which are single crystals of ice with six-fold symmetry. A snowflake can also mean a combination of multiple snow crystals. It is true that no two are alike, but they do have things in common with each other. Snow crystals begin as a microscopic speck of dust. Scientists call these small particles condensation nuclei. They supply the surface that a water droplet needs to initially freeze to ice. Once a droplet freezes, it continues growing into a snow crystal as water vapor condenses on its surface. We know that a glass of water will freeze at 32 degrees Fahrenheit, but dispersed fine droplets can remain liquid in air as cold as -40 degrees Fahrenheit. These supercooled droplets promote the growth of ice crystals. The path that an individual ice crystal takes on its way to the ground is unique to that crystal. The conditions along that path determine the shape and complexity we see when a snowflake lands on our coat sleeve. On colder days here in Yellowstone, we may get a chance to see a form of snow crystals called diamond dust. These hexagonal ice prisms are only a few tenths of a millimeter in size and nearly invisible to the naked eye. These small crystals sparkle in the sunlight as if the air is twinkling. Cirrus clouds are made of diamond dust. The largest ice crystals are called stellar dendrites. They begin as small hexagonal ice prisms with branches that grow simultaneously from the six corners. The side branches are triggered by changes in temperature and humidity. Ice crystals can also come in column or needle shapes. They never come with 4, 5, 7, or 8 sides.
While talking about snowflakes, Thoreau said, "How full of the creative genius is the air in which these are generated. I should hardly admire more if real stars fell and lodged on my coat." Access to some of the most beautiful scenery in the country, but the conditions require drivers to maintain a safe speed while staying alert for wildlife. Away from the plowed roads, visitors must rely on over-snow means of transportation. The hotel at Mammoth, as well as the Old Faithful Snow Lodge, offer rooms for rent and a wide range of activities. Both of these hotels have a variety of snow coach adventures and guided snowmobile trips. Many companies outside Yellowstone also provide accommodations, transportation services, and other winter adventures. These adventures include, but are not limited to, snowshoeing.
You're watching Inside Yellowstone.
Historically, Yellowstone National Park has always been more of a summer destination than a winter one, but there are all kinds of winter opportunities to be had by the adventurous traveler. The park's interior officially opens in mid-December and remains open until mid-March.
The only roads that are open to automobile traffic during this time are between the Mammoth Hot Springs area and the northeast gate of the park. A 22-mile stretch of US 191 along the west side of the park is also open during winter. These plowed roads offer
The winter is something to behold. This is not only one of the remote spots in the lower 48, it is one of the most beautiful.
The artist that shaped this American treasure continues to work on this unique place today. The 671-mile Yellowstone River, which flows through the canyon, is the longest undammed river in the United States. Upstream from the canyon, the Yellowstone seems quiet and peaceful. The deep color of the water is in direct contrast to the white pillows of snow along the riverbank. The peacefulness ends at
and cross-country skiing. Both hotels within the park staff ski shops with knowledgeable personnel. Ski drops can be reserved along with your room. Ski trail maps are available at many park locations. The National Park Service staffs visitor centers at Mammoth, Old Faithful, and the West Contact Station near the West Gate. Yellowstone Rangers present interpretive programs at various times during the week. Rangers also staff warming huts at several places in the park. You can often catch interpretive rangers presenting impromptu talks at many of the park's attractions. Check our official website on the latest news in visiting Yellowstone in winter. There you can also find a list of companies that operate within the park. If you do venture into this winter wonderland, know your family's limitations. A winter trip to Yellowstone is a trip you won't soon forget.
You're watching Inside Yellowstone.
Standing here at the Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone is always an impressive thing, but standing here in